Hello and welcome to another episode of the Red Bull Matchbox Race 2020. This particular episode is our final qualifier, including all 80 vehicles from Groups 3 and 4. We will show the complete results and then take you through the fastest runs from each group. Here are the results from the first 10 vehicles of Group 3. Nothing particularly remarkable here. Diane Akhtar wins this page with a qualifying time of 4:34. Here's our next slide. The best time here was recorded by Charlie Mckay in the Mosquito. And our third lineup from Group 3, where Niall Brooks in the Acura HSC Concept takes the fastest qualifying time of 4:34. Here's our last slide of Group 3, with Meadow Martian Magana getting 4:27, but more impressively still to Sean Ramsey with a qualifying time of 4:19. Let's take a look at their runs. Our first driver is to Sean Ramsey in the side draft, with that impressive qualifying time of 4:19. It was achieved in run 6. Looking very smooth down the course, and despite a hitch in the final tunnel, that impressive time. Our next driver was Meadow Martian Magana, who achieved their qualifying time in run number 4. Whether because of their alien nature or simply because the big wheels at the back afforded them the quickest time, they took the course backwards. Our next driver was Diane Akhtar in the Porsche Carrera GT. They achieved their time of 4:34 in their first run. Looks very quick going over the cliff jump. An impressive run altogether. Our next driver is Niall Brooks in the Acura HSC Concept. They also achieved their run of 4:34 in their first attempt. Very quick down that second straight, a little hesitant coming out of the second corner. What a good run. And our fifth driver from group number 3 is Charlie Mckay, driving in a Mosquito. Their run of 4:39 was achieved in their second attempt. Bumpy going down the first straight, certainly slower than the rest, but an impressive time nonetheless. And here we have our first slide from Group 4. This group, incidentally, set a number of fastest course time records. Here's our second slide. And the record is broken once by Lydia Willis, driving in the Urban Agent. A staggering 4 seconds 3. Our third slide from Group 4 sees a nearly record-breaking slowest time, done by Ghostly, the Spider Car. Our final slide of vehicles from Group 4, and the final slide of qualifying altogether, is led by a tie between Ira Calhoun in a Ford Fiesta and Dr. Annabelle Sharples in Bedlam. Let's take a look at their runs. In order of fastest, we begin with Lydia Willis in the Urban Agent. Once again, they achieved a tremendous time of 4:03 in run number 1. I'll be honest, it doesn't look quite as fast as other runs that we've seen, but clearly it was. Our next driver is Donnie Zhang in an RD02. They achieved their fastest run in run number 1 as well, temporarily record-breaking 4:10. And this run looks fast. Next we have Dr. Annabelle Sharples driving in the Bedlam. Dr. Sharples achieved a 4:22 in run number 1. A bit ponderous around the first corner compared to the attempts we just saw, but still a very impressive time. Ira Calhoun achieves the same time in the Ford Fiesta. They achieved this in run number 5. Quite smooth going down the entire course. Our next driver is Leanne Roach in the B Engineering Adonis. Because Group 4 achieved 8 in the top 10, we are seeing all of their runs. Leanne Roach achieved their fastest in run number 3. Looks quite quick, a bit slow in the second straight, but smooth through the rest of the course. Our next driver is Zane Coates in the Acura NSX. This is quite a bold-looking vehicle. They achieved their quick time in run number 1. A bit slow over the cliff drop, but very quick through the rest of the course until they get turned around in the tunnel. Our next driver achieved the same result of 4:24, Clementine Talbot in the Pontiac Rages. They achieved their time in run number 2. Bit ponderous in the first corner, and to be honest, it looked rather sedate through the rest of the course, but achieved that time nonetheless. Our final driver from group number 4 is Zachary Dalby in the Drift King. They achieved their top 10 result on their 3rd run. This looks quite fast, perhaps a bit slow in the 2nd straight, but smooth through the rest of the course. And here are our complete standings. First, we must scroll past the 47 vehicles whose drivers were incapable of completing the course, nearly a third of the entire field. Of these vehicles, 19 were marked with straight-line flat surface issues by our race marshals before the qualifiers. 14 drivers were pulled from the track after 2 embarrassing runs, while 33 were given 6 full runs to prove themselves. And here, at last, we arrive at our timed runs. Perry Barnett has the dubious honor of recording the slowest qualifying time with a tremendous 5:48. It was Jakubis Samuels in the Ford Focus who achieved the slowest timed run, however, a 6:34, more than 2 full seconds slower than each driver in the top 10. No vehicles with a qualifying time of 5 seconds or slower will be moving forward in the tournament. As we travel up the list, a few interesting observations. The slowest group, measured by fastest driver, was Group 2, led by Rima Dotson in a Porsche 911 Carrera S. But our slowest qualifying video was our first, led by our first ever track record holder Jordan Gates in the 2 Jets. These drivers achieved 12th and 16th overall respectively. Our fastest group, both by average qualifying time and fastest driver, is of course our last, Group 4. Our race masters have had some deliberating to do over the size and composition of the Matchbox tournament itself, now that qualifying has finished. Here is what they have come up with. The Red Bull Matchbox Race 2020 will comprise a seeded tournament of 32 initial drivers. 30 of these drivers will be the fastest 30 qualifiers. Added to this lineup are our 2 wildcard drivers, the 2 competitors in the remaining field with perfect consecutive runs and qualifying times of less than 5 seconds. The reason for these wildcards is made clear by the competition format, where consistency may make or break a driver's tournament run. First, let's take a look at our brackets. Our first seed, Lydia Willis in the Urban Agent, will be facing off against the second wildcard seed, Kristen Curtis in the Ford Focus, who ranked 55th overall. While our third seed, Clark Cannon, will be facing our 30th ranked qualifier, Rianne Reeder in the Corvette C6, and so on and so forth. Qualifying time, number of runs, and overall rank has been given for the sake of comparison. Each of these 16 pairings will face off in a series of 3 runs each. The driver with the quickest time from those runs will move on to the round of 16. If neither driver in a bracket completes the course in 3 runs, the vehicles will stagger further runs until one or both drivers achieve completion in a sudden death face-off, at which point the sole or fastest completer will move forward. Screenshot this empty bracket and fill it out with your predictions, or post them in the comments. Next time, at long last, the Red Bull Matchbox Race 2020 finally begins.